Many of the important things about life in Japan today were also important more than 1,500 years ago. Japan is near to Korea and China, and many ideas came to ancient Japan from people in these countries. Like Korean and Chinese people, the ancient Japanese learned to grow rice and to make cloth. Buddhism came to Japan from Korea and China, and by the 400s, the Japanese began to use Chinese kanji, or picture words, for writing. From the 600s, emperors ruled Japan. Families came together into groups called clans around these important rulers. The clans fought for power all the time. In 794, the Japanese emperor moved his home to Kyoto. This was a quiet time in Japan, and art and writing became very important. In the early 1000s in Kyoto, a woman called Murasaki Shikibu wrote the Tale of Genji, and people read this interesting book even now. At this time, fighters became very powerful in Japan. At first, they worked for important men in different parts of the country. When the fighters were there, the land and homes of these men were safe. But the very best fighters now made new clans called samurai. The samurai were very powerful. The most powerful of the samurai were called shoguns, and these shoguns wanted to rule Japan. In 1185, the emperor lost power, and Minamoto no Yoritomo became the first shogun ruler of Japan. For the next 700 years, different shoguns ruled Japan, and again the clans fought. In 1600, the shoguns of the Tokugawa clan came to power. The first of these, Tokugawa Ieyasu, made his home at Edo, now Tokyo. Now they were in power. The Tokugawa shoguns wanted to stay there. They made a class system. They gave everyone a place, from the shoguns and samurai at the top down to farmers and workers. Under the Tokugawa, Edo became bigger and more important, and there was a lot of art and theater. But in 1639, the Tokugawa closed Japan to the world. For 200 years, people from other countries could not come in and out of Japan, and Japanese people could not leave. This stopped in 1853 when American ships came to Japan. They wanted to buy Japanese goods and to bring American goods into Japan. The Tokugawa shoguns now lost their power, and from 1868, the emperor again ruled Japan. After this, Japan began to change. The emperor broke down the class system of the Tokugawa shoguns. School became a part of life for all Japanese children. Japan began to make things and sell them to other countries, and people came to Japan to do business. Toyoda Sakichi was a very important person in Japan at this time. First, he changed things in the cloth industry, and after that, people could work better and faster. Later, his business began to make cars too, and the Toyota Motor Corporation was born. Japan fought in the First World War, 1914 to 1918, and by the 1920s, it was an important country in the world. In the Second World War, 1939 to 1945, Japan fought in the Pacific. In August 1945, U.S. atomic bombs killed more than 200,000 Japanese in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Bombs destroyed many of Japan's cities and industries in the war, but because Japanese people worked hard and had good ideas, Japan's industries began to grow. At first, Japan made cars, ships, and steels, but in the 1970s, the electronics industry became more important. Japan began to make phones, televisions, computers, and cameras. Soon, Japan was famous around the world for its new idea in the electronics industry. Then, from the 1990s, industries in other countries in Asia began to grow, and there were hard times for Japan. But Japan is the country of Canon, Toyota, Mitsubishi, and Sony, and we see names like these every day on things in our homes, schools, and places of work.